Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to our free webinar, Disconnect to Reconnect, Relationship Reboot, jointly organized by Nuffield Wellness and Nuffield Academy. Tonight, we have the privilege of having two esteemed guest speakers, Ślusarska and Zahira Masauood, to share their wisdom and insight on this topic. Anna is a business and wellness coach with Nuffield Wellness, also a yoga practitioner. She delivers programs in corporate culture, human values, as well as individual and organizational wellness. Zahira is the principal counselor with Nuffield Counselling. She works with adults, adolescents, couples, and families on a broad range of mental health conditions such as stress, anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. And without further ado, Anna and Zahira, please.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Hello. Thank you, Ken.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. So I'm Anna, and I represent Nuffield Wellness, and together with me here is my dear colleague Zahira from Nuffield Counselling. And today we are going to share a webinar titled Disconnect to Reconnect, Relationship Reboot. This is a very fascinating topic, and I hope you will all enjoy it.
Thank you, Anna, for that opening. Okay, so this entire webinar is going to be half an hour. To just be mindful, you can leave your questions and answers, questions on the chat box. We won't be looking at the questions right now because we'll be too busy, trying to explain to you what the webinar is all about. But towards the end of it, we'll have a 15-minute short question and answer segment whereby we'll answer those questions at that point. Okay, so let's begin, Anna.
Yes, before we move on to actually open our topic, I would kindly like to point out the fact that ideally this webinar is only for people who are at least 18 years old. So whoever potentially right now listening to us is not, I would ask you to leave this webinar. Thank you so much. And let's move on to our first part. Okay, so here's the beautiful quote that Zahira prepared for us when we were talking and we tried to figure out how to actually open this discussion. And I loved this one. I spent quite a while to elaborate on it. Maybe you would like to share your thoughts. Why did you select this one to start?
Okay, as what's saying here essentially is we come to love not by finding a perfect person, but by learning to see an imperfect person perfectly. This quote is actually from an author called Sam Keen. But I felt that this quote was really relatable for this webinar because to begin with, there is no such thing as a perfect partner. We are all imperfect creatures, right? We all come with our own flaws, with our own fears, vulnerability, unresolved childhood issues that we carry on to our adulthood. And how we perceive and how we view the world is totally different from how our partners view the world, or that is even our own friends. So what's unique about love is that when you're totally in love with someone, you don't have a foresight of what it's going to be like in a relationship, right? You don't have a foresight of their imperfections because everything seems to be in that rose-tinted glasses and everything seems to be very perfect at that point of time. But over time, that relationship itself, you start looking at the small little details and you start saying that, hey, wait a minute, this is not sitting right with me, right? So that's the imperfect, the imperfect partner that you tend to look at and say that, hey, I don't want this in my relationship. Yes. I want something else.
I take this package, but I don't want to take that
package. Yes, exactly.
Without this.
Yeah, so why is that? So that's the objective of this webinar, is to help you coexist in that partnership itself, as there's two people with two different worldview of things, and you can be in a space whereby there's no judgment, there's no restrictions as what you should be confining yourself. So you can coexist in a space whereby there's a lot of empathy, there's a lot of understanding, and there's a lot of pure love. So I feel this quote is really, it's a real nice fit to this webinar. That's why I chose it. Okay, so I hope you guys will enjoy this webinar as much as how we enjoy creating it and preparing it.
And let me share my 5 cents about this particular quote, because I was thinking of it when you shared this with me in the morning, and I would just like to tell you one thing about love in general. Maybe this webinar is more about sexuality and the intimacy between partners, but in terms of love purely, I feel that love is just what we are in the very essence. It's just there, and you don't need to look for it. You don't need to seek it in your partner even. It's just there. This is what we are all. If we remove all the social conditioning, all the impressions that we have in our mind, then another thing is that how this love is being expressed on the personality level. So when we add our own life story as people, as individuals, and we combine it with our own narratives and understanding of love, then that is when the things get complicated, because
that's right. Yeah,
it's like our mind is like a prison through which this pure essence of love is being filtered, and then it can create a lot of flavors, a lot of shades and colors, and sometimes it's very beautiful. So sometimes it lifts us and makes us very free, and expands us and makes us very refined. In other times, it's very limiting, because we have certain distorted expressions and interpretations of love based on our own life experiences. That's the reason why during this webinar we want to have a look at all these limiting patterns, behaviors that might be potentially disabling us from actual pure expression of love between us and our loved ones. Not even necessarily only the partners, but in general people around us that we care about.
Yeah, so it's essentially like peeling off the layers of of things that it might not work in our relationship anymore, where there's a lot more empathy and understanding and forgiveness.
Exactly.
Okay,
let's move on with
let's
this.
start off the webinar right now. Okay, so the contents of this whole webinar, the relationship reboot itself, will be discussing and touch upon challenges that couples face in long-term relationship, the common roadblocks in every committed relationship. We will also discuss the benefit of mindfulness and how it helps to strengthen your relationship. We will elaborate more on this part, which is the tantric practice for a deeper bond in your partnership itself, to connect you and your partner on a deeper level, right? And lastly, of course, this whole webinar is there will be an extension to it, whereby there is a Nuffield Secret and Sensuality retreat that we're planning for our couples or individuals who would like to work on themselves and how to go, peel that layers off, right? Okay, so let's move on to the first topic, which is the common roadblocks in relationship. Anna, I think we've spoke about it's totally our favorite topic, and the first one is stress, because with stress, it creates a lot of disharmony in relationships, right?
We know this feeling, but we are most often not realizing how much we are flooded with cortisol on a daily basis in our work. So when we are so tense, even unconsciously, and we carry this heightened stress level, and we bring this to our bedroom in the evening, then believe me, it's not enticing atmosphere to actually open up to your partner and to welcome them, being fully present and open. How the cortisol works in our system, I believe that everyone knows that it creates this fight or flight mode. So it makes the whole body very ready, very stiff. Every single muscle is stiff. We don't even realize how much, including the genital area. So when we try to meet our partner and actually get the full satisfaction, and I think it's even more valid for women, because women are the ones who need to open up. It makes it very difficult when we bring all the stress, all this hormonal makeup to the bedroom in the evening. So
yes, of course.
Stress is definitely a mood.
You won't have any mood for any. It's the ultimate joy killer in every relationship, right? So the body goes through this whole process of the fight or flight mode, as we were talking about. It's an acute stress response, and of course, when you are in a stressful, like what you say, you know, your muscles tends to tense up, and you know, that translates into a really negative behavior on its own. And with this negative behavior, and we bring it into the bedroom, whether it's your husband or the wife, or you know, just your partner, I feel, you know, when your partner come into face with you that way, they'll be like, okay, the wall was just gonna start piling up slowly. Yes, I wouldn't even want to touch you or just to give you a kiss because I can sense this negative energy coming from you. So
we are not even in the mood then.
Yes, exactly. I think that goes for everyone who's in a very stressful state, especially in partnerships, right? Stress does add on to that relationship itself. It dampens your whole entire state of being, where you can't be truly present for them.
But sometimes also we should mention it doesn't need to be any kind of like extreme stress feeling. Sometimes we are even talking only about mental stress. When the stress is being sensed only in the mind, because we are being overflown with a lot of information, we are being constantly stimulated by some external factors. This is when the mind is so active that we just can't be even present anymore in what we are doing. Because very often, as we spoke today, people say that, okay, I'm going right now to switch on Netflix or maybe watch a movie or see the news. This is my form of relaxation after tiring working day. This is not actually relaxation, for the mind is still being flooded with data, with information that it needs to process.
It's fully occupied. So that's why, you know, to the next point, which is the poor communication and failing to be present for your partner, when you're overly, you know, stimulated mentally. Yes.
In a bad way.
So that's where you can't be fully present in that partnership itself, because there's a million windows that's open up there, right?
Can you remind me what you told me in the morning about the people in Singapore?
Oh yeah.
It was brilliant.
People in Singapore, it's a rat race, right? And with this rat race culture, we tend to like overlook things, what's really important at that point of time, especially being with your partner. See, for example, you're in the bedroom and trying to, I think Anna, you did mention this as well. You know, one of the couples that we've encountered who have, talked about this is that while making love, he's not truly present there, and he was on his phone and looking at his emails. So that's where, you know, you tend to not be present in that moment, to enjoy that moment intimately with your partner. Yeah, so a lot of that is related to, coming back to stress. Stress relates to poor communication and failing to be present for your partner.
Yes.
Okay, so the
Let
next.
me add my 5 cents here on
Yes,
that
go
of pure
ahead.
communication and inability to be actually present. Very often it looks like this. You cannot be even present on your own by yourself because you need to be, it's like addiction. You need to be always stimulated with a lot of data.
Yeah, on your phone or on your laptop.
There is no data, you feel bored and the mind goes, okay, what to do now? I don't know. The mind goes very restless and then a lot of thoughts are being generated. So it's actually an art to be able to let go and stop. And it's associated with stopping your inner chatter, your mental chatter. And only then you can start being present, learning how to be present with your partner.
Yeah.
And we very often we are lacking this basic ability because of the modern times and the fast pace of life, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Let's move then to another interesting point, which is how we call it. It's a sexy name, like lack of sexual intelligence. It might be a little bit misleading, the title, but let's explain what we mean by that. We are basically referring to lack of proper education about our bodies, lack of understanding of our bodies, what gives us pleasure, and at the same time, how to give pleasure, how to both give and receive. Because we live in society, sometimes I call it, it's a medieval ages of sexual literacy. No one teaches us properly, in a healthy, in a balanced way, to understand our bodies and our own sexuality. Very often we receive very minimum information, maybe from our teachers or our parents, but then the rest we are more like experimenting on our own. And the culture, and I would say both in the East and in the West, it's not actually inducive for us to understand our own sexuality in a healthy way.
I think I'll add on to that. The lack of sexual intelligence in the Asian context itself. Most of us are raised in a very conservative households, and our parents don't really talk to us about the birds and the bees, right? In the Western culture, I do know that parents tend to talk to their children about it, but for us, it's a totally different setup altogether. We tend to be quite restricted in that sense. So we only know about sex until we come to that age where we have our own sexual encounters. That's where we actually learn on what to do or what brings us pleasure. But it's not freely discussed between partners because it's still considered a topic of taboo. So it's really hard for, being an Asian, it's hard to tell your partner, this is what I want to make myself feel good, right? It sounds more like a very dominating kind of role. So there's a disconnect right there, completely. And
I think very often women won't tell because they don't know themselves. They just don't know what gives them pleasure. On the other hand, men, they think they are great. Very often they think they are great and they don't realize that they just
this might offend some men.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive, but it's very often they are just not aware that they lack basic skills how to make a woman happy and satisfied, and our bodies are much more complicated in this sense. It takes a little bit more to make us aroused, for example. So it's quite a challenge. I wouldn't like to be a man in this matter to learn all these complications of being a woman. Anyways, let's now...
That's where it's in relation to the next point, which is the shame and guilt. I think when there's lack of sexual interaction between partners in a long-term relationship, especially women, right? Women who become mothers, we tend to identify ourselves with this role that we're a mother, and we have to conduct ourselves in a different way because we are presenting ourselves as that nurturing type
Yes.
of role, and we have so many other things that's on our plate being a mother, right? So when our partners look at us in that motherly role, they tend to dissect that or disconnect that hey, this woman is actually has been my lover at one point of time, whereby I'm able to freely express myself to her. But once that role has changed, that is that disconnection. I feel in a partnership, men tend to be a bit more reserved in how they want to connect with their partners.
Yes.
And I feel there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes along with that too, because that's where, when it comes to infidelity, I feel like most men who goes down that path, in my sessions with my clients, I notice that men are seeking for more freedom of expression, right? Freedom of expression, meaning that they can be their authentic selves. They can express or do things that they want to do to make themselves feel good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's associated with this belief that you can either have amazing lover or amazing wife and mother for your children. And usually somehow there are two different roles. Why can't they be combined together? It's only because of our limitations and belief systems. Also about shame and guilt, I think that one of the most basic forms of shame would be also the body shame.
Yes,
and if I ask majority of people, are you ashamed of your body? I think they would reply most likely, no, not at all, I'm fine with my body. But I think it's more subconscious. We all carry it to center extent, maybe some people more, other people less, but all of us faced it at some point in our lives when we felt that we are not actually perfectly fine with the body, and we don't actually can be very comfortable when we are exposed and naked in front of our partner, which is largely contributing to our level of satisfaction and connection with the partner in the bedroom.
That's
so
right.
It is very important to actually accept yourself just as you are.
Exactly. I think to expand on that, when it comes to like what I mentioned earlier on, for mothers, their body has totally changed, and they do go through this moment where they are ashamed of how they look like in front of their partners, because their partners still look the same, right? And their bodies has completely changed. So I think.
But a lot of it is in the mind.
Exactly.
for both sexes, actually.
Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. We? Yes.
Perfect. There we go.
Okay, so what is mindfulness and how it can help you in your relationship? Okay, so these are the 3 points I felt that's really important: is being present for your partner. That's how mindfulness can help you strengthen your relationship. So no matter how far you've come in your intimate relationship itself, cultivating love, intimacy, and a union is an ongoing process, right? The union and the partnership is an ongoing process. So as mindfulness is the ever unfolding, it's an ever unfolding compassionate, non-judgmental awareness of each and every moment that you have with your partner, whereby there's, like what I mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of empathy, there's a lot of understanding towards your partner. And with these moments, it goes hand in hand when you can actually practice mindfulness, so you can be in the present moment and be available for your partner. So as your relationship evolves, So does, the practice of mindfulness itself. You can go on different levels to meet your partner and be and coexist in that space where there's a lot more understanding, right?
Yes.
So that's what we're trying to achieve here. It's not only just to practice mindfulness for the relationship itself, but it's also for your own personal growth and, for you and your partner, right? And these can then help you reignite your passion and by being a better lover for them,
Yes.
because there's a lot more understanding in that relationship.
You just gave me one thought that we also we covered before when we are talking together about this, that it always starts with you. And I think that a lot of people kind of trying to bypass this important aspect that they want to focus on fixing the partner.
Oh yes, of course. It's always, it's always not looking at yourself first and how you can work within yourself, doing a lot more inner work to actually work on the relationship. So when you do a lot of inner work, you tend to pick up the things that is not serving the relationship at this point. So what can you do about it? So that's what mindfulness does. It actually show you how you can create a more meaningful and more understanding relationship. Right? Yeah.
Perfect. Mindfulness together with Tantra, which go hand in hand, I would say. They are not that different. So this is again by Zahira. Zahira has this magical ability to come up with beautiful quotations that fit perfectly in our webinar. Let me read it aloud first. Tantra teaches you to handle your sexual energy in a new way, consciously, with a heart that's involved, attentive to everything that's happening. It strengthens every aspect of your love life. Okay, so I'm actually going to share something that, I don't know, maybe to some people it might sound a little bit controversial, but I'm being honest right now. Sexual energy, that's the fact. It's one of the most potent energies that we have in our body, if you are talking about our energy system, right? And it has the ability to create new life. It's the most powerful energy that we have naturally in our system. And there is a reason why some of the mystics and people who mastered meditation, when they are referring to the state of samadhi, how they call it, it has also other names, but this is this kind of expanded state of consciousness when you are actually connected to your core essence. They describe this feeling as a beautiful orgasmic state of the whole body, of your whole system. And they really refer to orgasm. And why? I would explain it like this. To me, sexual energy and the moment we actually experience climax, it's like a small window, like a peek into our own bliss that we actually carry, all of us. But we maybe don't have the ability, if we don't pay attention to this, or we don't make our minds trained to be more open to this flow. Usually we are not that connected with it. We don't realize it. We don't know how to utilize it. So, but orgasm is something that everyone loves and enjoys for some reason. Why? Because it's like a glimpse into samadhi state, into the core of our being. That's why we can use tantric practices and we can use the sexual energy that we are building up in our system to our advantage in a conscious way, so that it can bring us very deep, so that we are better connected within and also together with the partner. And at this point, it's not anymore merely sex, it's more like a union with yourself and a union with your partner, which makes it very beautiful. It can be amazingly healing experience, and it can be very transformative for both partners. So I feel that it's a very beautiful tool as long as we approach it with proper understanding, with awareness, and we have proper intention how we want to use it.
I think what I understand by Tantra is that it's a meditative state whereby you get connected with the energy of your partner and it comes into an alignment, right?
Yes.
So when there's an alignment in that energy itself, it creates that space where it's very intimate and beautiful to experience that together.
Exactly. This is bringing awareness to sex, to put it in a very short words. When you bring this, you can connect with your partner on so many more levels. Very often, we are maybe connected on the body level. It's very easy to open up your body for someone, but you can stay closed on your more subtle levels. And it's like only stimulating one string of a guitar. While when you actually involve all of our system and we learn to use our energies to connect on all the levels with the partner, it's like a beautiful symphony. It's altogether completely different kind of experience and feeling. That's why I said this is more like a union rather than just having sex in the bedroom.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Yeah, I would love to experience that. Okay, so I think you're gonna show them a little bit about how you can actually do this tantric practice in your bedroom, right?
Yes,
with your partner. Let's maybe
I
can be your model.
Thank you so much for being my model. As maybe you can be my male or female partner. It doesn't matter, but I encourage right now everyone to just listen. Obviously, it's pointless for you to actually follow through. If you feel like you can close your eyes and just meditate right now and listen to my instructions. Otherwise, you can just stay present and observe us doing this exercise. We are just going to introduce you to maybe the first 4 or 5 minutes of facilitating this meditation together with the partner. But you can do it on your own with your loved ones. It can take 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You can do it for as long as you like. And I feel it's a very beautiful practice when you really want to go back home to your partner, let go, and be finally fully present with them and really switch off the mental chatter. Shall we start?
Yes.
So it's best if you sit very comfortably opposite each other. You can be sitting down, having your back supported. Maybe let's make it a little bit more quiet so that everyone can hear us properly. Would you take off your glasses for a while?
Yes, I will.
I would love to see your eyes more properly. So we are not closing our eyes right now, and we can start with only focusing on our breath. So we can take a deep inhale together and exhale. And for one short while, before we start looking into our partner's eyes, we can actually close our eyes and go within. So let's all do it. We can close our eyes and take a deep breath in. Breathe out. And pay attention to every muscle in your body right now. If you happen to feel any stiffness anywhere, pay attention to your thought processes or emotions. Everything that's arising, just let it be. It doesn't bother you at all. And feel the energy of your partner sitting in front of you. Just tune into it and feel it, be with it, without any judgments. Does it feel calm? Or maybe a little bit anxious or stressed? Just let it be as it is right now. You can take a deep breath in and breathe out. And you can slowly open your eyes. And with all the innocence, look into your partner's eyes. And whatever thoughts or emotions are appearing right now, just let them be. Look completely innocently like a child. Even if you had some argument before, even if your mind right now creates some narratives about him or her, just let them go. Let them be. They don't bother you. And if you wish, you may actually hold each other's hands like this. This is one way to feel each other's energies better. Or the other solution is you can gently place your hand on your partner's heart. And relax in this process. Don't hold back anything. Even if you feel a little bit awkward with this, sometimes people tend to laugh or feel very stiff or feel very awkward in this whole situation. Just let it be and be very genuine. Stay with this process no matter what kind of feelings or emotions are arising. And keep looking. And you may find a silent way for gratitude and to be thankful for your partner just for being here. Just as he or she is right now with you. Fully acknowledging her or him. And again, it can take a little bit more time, keeping an eye contact without saying any single word. This is actually a very beautiful meditation, because when you are present like this, when you look into someone's eyes, the mind naturally goes into silent mode, because for me, it feels so intimate to be looking into your partner's eyes, that it feels sometimes even more intimate than actual lovemaking. It feels like looking into your soul when you are not hiding anything. And this is a beautiful beginning and introduction into opening up and even into making love together on a way deeper level. And all it takes is at least this few minutes of being present together, really present, without escaping into mental narrations, and being with your partner. While at the end you can just hug one another and just be grateful that this person is right now next to you and supporting you in so many levels. So this is how it looks like. And I really encourage you to take this practice seriously. Maybe it looks as something too simple sometimes for people, and some of us may think, okay, it's too simple, how can it work? I'm just staring into your eyes. But that's the thing, we need to bypass the mind sometimes to go deeper, irregardless of all the chatter, all the narrations. And the way to do it is to focus, really focus on your presence, on our presence as partners. And the best point of focus is our eyes, always.
That's
because they can
beautiful.
really open us up, both of us.
Yeah. I think that is the true essence of just being present. Yeah, because it's just away from everything, away from all the noise, just being focused in that moment, in that private, intimate moment. Yeah, I would encourage all of you to try this out. Anna, would you be giving our participants a step-by-step on how they can actually do this?
Yes, we are definitely going to elaborate on that during our full version of Secret of Sensuality retreat. So we are going to teach you a lot of beautiful techniques. Right now, unfortunately, we have very limited time.
Yeah.
But trust me, even if you want to and try to incorporate this kind of practice, it can give you beautiful results right away without waiting.
Yeah.
So I encourage really everyone to try it out. In the meantime, let's move to another side, another chapter right now.
Okay, so I think what essentially we are discussing here is that the secret of the sensuality retreat and the couples workshop that we will be holding sometime in the next couple of months.
Yes.
This webinar would be a 3-part series webinar. This will be our first one, and there'll be a continuation,
Yes.
which is on the 23rd of June. So yeah, please join us again. This workshop itself, what we'll be covering would be these points, which is discovering full pleasure of one's sensuality, understanding intimacy as a way of personal growth, dropping limiting beliefs and behaviors related to our sexuality, forming deeper bond with your partner, enabling healthy self-expression and contentment in the relationship. And of course, lastly, is understanding yourself better on a deeper level. So that's where the inner work will be uncovered in the workshop itself. So yes, I encourage all of you to join us in our next webinar. Okay, so I think right now we will open the floor to the question and
Definitely.
answer
I'll just put
segment.
it like this about the pleasure and sensuality
Yeah.
part. If you think you know pleasure, you don't know anything yet. Join us to really explore, to understand how to connect in such ways that you can have amazingly fulfilling love life that I'm sure you have not discovered yet, and I mean it.
Awesome.
At this point, we can move, as Zahira mentioned, I'm sorry for distraction, to the questions and answers part. In the meantime, let me, switch to another way. Let's open the questions answers box. Okay. If there happen to be no questions at this point, I understand you may feel shy asking us about anything related to particularly this topic. We are, together with Zahira, more than happy to connect with each and every one of you, answer any question that you may have privately, and also maybe explain you a little bit more on the upcoming retreat that we are going to both host together.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Anna. I think there's actually a question in the chat.
Yes.
Is there a book or a website to read more?
Yes, correct. Yes, there is definitely a website to read more on the topic, and we can share the website with everyone at the end of this webinar. In the meantime, we are also more than happy, as I mentioned, to share with you more information privately. You can very easily reach out to both of us, either on our WhatsApp or email address.
Yes, you can either reach out to Anna or myself, Zahira, or any questions you have pertaining to whether it's the mindfulness workshop or the secrets of sensuality workshop, both of us will be more than happy to give you the full context of what we're going to do in this workshop. Okay, so
and by the way, we are also running private one-on-one sessions. During the sessions, we can also give you a glimpse of what Secret of Sensuality workshop is all about. And you don't need to come together with your partner. It's not necessary. If you are single right now and you just like to simply understand yourself better as a lover, just for your own knowledge and growth, you are also most welcome.
Yes.
So we are not discriminate here. It doesn't need
everyone
to be
is welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, no more.
Thank you so much again. Since we have no question, I think we covered it all. We enjoyed connecting with you this evening, and we are looking forward to connect with you again during the second part of the series.
So see you on the 23rd of June for our next series of the webinar.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening, everyone.